To take us all through all that and much more, our political editor Navika Kumar, Times Now's consulting editor Maruf Raza, and also with us our expert voices G. Balachandran, consulting fellow at the IDSA on nuclear issues. He has a lot of information and a lot of opinion. G.D. Bakshi, editor of the Military Review, is joining us tonight. Kamal Mitra Chenoy, I don't think he's happy with what the government's clarifications on the nuclear deal have been. Siddharth Singh will explain whether there's been any hypocrisy on that front in terms of the position the BJP had in the past. And C.R. Kesavan, national spokesperson of the Congress party. Also with us, Satynath Sarangi, activist, has many questions on the nuclear deal. It's going to be a big debate. First, C.R. Kesavan, in the spirit of grace that we have seen through the day on all sides, the deal is done. Would you like to congratulate Siddharth Singh for what his government has achieved, which you couldn't do in 10 years of stumbling, mumbling and fumbling?
We welcome the visit of the President. I can hear my voice, Arnab. I can hear my echo, but I still go ahead. We have seen the briefing of the MEA, and we are happy, so will be the people of India, if the deal has gone through as the MEA has said today, which will really provide energy security and for the people of India. But I think the most important point is the fine print, because today we didn't get the nitty-gritty of the details of the brass tacks. I have a couple of questions, Arnab. If you let me go ahead, I'll just post these questions. The first thing is, the deal seems to have gone through. First, let me talk about 17A, 17B, and then come back to 4 to 6, because they have not addressed 4 to 6. And 17A, 17B, they said they have solved the problem of liability through an insurance pool. Before, the issue, the crux of the issue after 2010, when the nuclear liability was passed, was that CSA, the Convention of Supplementary Compensation. They said if you go on for a immigration pool, it says that the suppliers are liable, and it contradicts the CSC. And if you remember, India basically passed and signed the CSC in 2010 October, but we didn't ratify it. And also, I just want to put into perspective the international law. Though it was introduced in 1997, even America passed it in 2008, and the law says it will not come into force until 5 countries. Totally, you have a nuclear capacity of 400,000 units. Sign it. Very importantly, in January this year, Japan signed it. So the CSC is coming to force in 2015 April. That is very, very significant. Now, what we would like to know is, has the government agreed to sign the CSC? And CSC pretty much says that the operator is liable, while our Nuclear Liability Act says the supplier is liable. If you're going to sign the CSC and say the operator is liable, the Indian government is going to be liable. That is question number 1. Second thing is, when you see the way America signed it in 2008, they signed the CSC, but they had a reservation clause. They said, we are not bound by these dispute settlement procedures. This is what America as a reservation clause when it signed the CSC. If India is going to sign it with that, okay, but then how will the Americans agree? So the first question is, that's the first question. Second question is, does it entail any change
stop right there.
In the nuclear...
No, stop right there. Stop right there. One question, one answer. Let there be a norm on that. Right? Let there be one question, one answer tonight. One question and one rebut. So the question is very simple, Siddharth. Congratulations to you. But congratulations for what?
Thank you. Thank you.
But congratulations for what? And congratulations, sorry Siddharth, at what cost? You see, no, one second. I'd like to remind you that Ravi Shankar Prasad, your present IT minister, September 2013 had said that the reports that the Congress government is trying to weaken the liability of the manufacturers as far as atomic reactors is concerned, plainly not acceptable. The security of the people of India is important. India's interest, India's sovereignty, India's nuclear autonomy are important. Murli Manohar Joshi said, in the same month, we are surrendering our sovereignty on the nuclear issue to US agencies. How can the Manmohan Singh government try to dilute the nuclear liability clause it deals with American nuclear firms for buying reactors? I'm just holding you to your word, Siddharth. Now respond. Well, if you've done a U-turn, say we did a U-turn.
Well, you're holding to my... Okay. Arnab, can I speak, please? The minute I start speaking, you say something. If you're holding to my words, to our party's words, to our leader's word, we still hold on to the same words. There is no mention that we will be ratifying or going back to the parliament to dilute the civil nuclear liability clauses of the bill. And what we have achieved today, we have found the very Alibaba to open the gates between India and US nuclear civil liability, which was stuck up for last 6 years. And that has been achieved without dilution of any of the clauses of the bill, which has been passed by the parliament.
Who takes the liability?
And that has been achieved on 2 counts.
Who pays the liability? Indian taxpayer, Indian insurance companies, or who? The Americans?
Arnab, there is a insurance. There is a insurance pool.
No, who is the insurance pool? Is Indian state-owned insurance companies.
That's a 50%.
And where is the other 50% coming from? 750 crores the government gives.
Supplier. Well, hear me out, Mr. Arnab Goswami. It is for your, since you have asked the question, it is for your viewers. I'm trying to answer if you don't interrupt. 750, that is the 50% comes from the government of India. The balance comes from the various suppliers who have a stake into it. Now, in case you are trying to say a big infrastructure project, which the government of India builds up, the insurance money which goes for or reinsurance of those projects doesn't come from the government of India, which is, in your case, which you want to highlight, is the taxpayers' money. It always happens so. So there's nothing new that you're trying to anybody else, my opposition, my adversaries are trying to direct it that it is the taxpayer. It is always the tax money.
No, what's a counter from
infrastructure project?
Counters coming in. No, sir. You see, this is sir. Please, Mr. Siddharth Singh.
This is the government.
Mr. Siddharth Singh. You see, let's be very clear. No, Mr. Siddharth Singh, we are not debating for debating's sake. You may have opposed for opposing sake. I am not saying, Siddharth, that what you have done today is wrong.
No, I'm not.
I am saying, have you done today what you promised not to do earlier?
No.
On the nuclear issue.
You have to answer, Mr. Arnab Goswami. You are debating. You want to debate for a debating stake. Have we diluted the nuclear liability bill? Answer me yes,
I need to ask one question to Siddharthji.
And the answer is
Mr.
no.
Kesavan's counter. Mr. Kesavan's counter and then open debate.
No.
Kesavan's counter, open debate after that.
So it is a welcome step, and the entire India and the entire media should be congratulating. No one but the Prime Minister.
Media is not a cheerleader.
Take something forward.
The media is not a cheerleader.
To the sovereignty of the India.
I just want to ask you a question, please. No, let me ask you 2 questions. That's a straight question. It's not a political pot shot. We are discussing in the interest of the Indian people. Let me ask you 2-3 doubts which everybody may have. First, you said you're not going to dilute the Civil Nuclear Liability Act, which was passed unanimously by the parliament. So you're saying that you won't undermine the national consensus. So we will have you on record that you're not going to change it, make no amendments to the act. Fine. I have still not received an answer. Are you going to ratify the Convention of Supplementary Compensation, which will in fact dilute and nullify the Civil Liability Act? We don't need to touch the Civil Liability Act, but by ratifying the CSC, you can annul the whole Nuclear Liability Act. That's a big problem. Third point is the biggest crux and the thorn in the liability, besides the liability issue of Section 46. Let me complete. Section 46 says the US companies are liable to tort law. There is unlimited liability. How can you say that you struck a nuclear deal without addressing 46? The government said the Section 46 has not been addressed. So how can you have a deal without addressing Section 46?
Mr. Keshwan, Don't shout, yeah. You are screaming so much as if we are standing in the parliament.
No, don't be defensive.
Let's be civil on the Civil Nuclear Liability Bill. I'm not defensive. I'm telling you, you're shouting too much. Therefore, I'm telling you, you're shouting too much, my dear. All I'm saying is...
I'm hearing myself, don't be defensive on a defense pact. Please give answers.
I'm giving answer, but I don't know whether my voice is echoing or it's your voice which is echoing to you. But the issue is...
That's my voice.
There is, the CS which you have mentioned, was also raised 6 years back. And at that stage, it was your government's intention. It came out in a number of newspapers, and we had raised it that you can dilute the nuclear liability. And we had said that this should not happen, and we hold to that. So trust us. We have gone without diluting the nuclear liability bill, which was passed during your regime under pressure, and we will not be doing it. We will not be doing anything to dilute the nuclear liability. The Indian law will hold good. That is good enough. That should be good enough for you.
You're factually wrong. India signed the CSC in 2010. It's not 6 years
I don't think so. I don't think so, my dear. I am factually wrong. We said we will not allow 2008. We are holding on to today. We found a way.
Okay, may I open this up? Now I think it's time to open it up. It's time to open it up. And no, 1 second. No, it's time to open it up. 1 second.
You people
can I please, Siddharth, can I just Siddharth,
we have managed to do it without compromising the sovereignty of India.
Okay, so Siddharth, I think there's Maruf, Navika, Satyanath, a lot of people want to come into the debate. What are we debating? Just quick summary for this. You see, I just want to summarize this in simple layman terms so the viewer before handing over to you. May I just say, there is an Indo-US nuclear deal. Manmohan Singh wanted it desperately. Almost when he was unable to push it through because the left parties were against it, was ready to resign in 2008. He gets re-elected in 2009. For 5 years, Manmohan Singh is able to do nothing. One of the reasons Manmohan Singh is not able to move, I'm just putting it in context, Maruf, is because every time he wanted to move a little bit, the BJP jumped forth and the BJP said compromise of sovereignty, surrendering of sovereignty, our nuclear autonomy cannot be compromised, our long-term interests cannot be compromised. What was the basic issue of compromise, Maruf? It was this whole issue of if, God forbid, there is an accident, who takes the liability? Now there is a nuclear liability law. It holds the suppliers, in this case the American companies, directly liable, Maruf, as you agree, in case of a nuclear accident. While countries like the US have asked India to follow global norms in which the primary liability is with the operator, which in this case is an Indian-owned company, Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. Point is, has the BJP slightly softened its position today? What does it appear to you, Maruf? Has there been a slight realism in the BJP's position?
Arnab, let me sort of try and simplify it for the common man. I think firstly, there is a lot of symbolism that goes with a US presidential visit, alongside which the Americans want a serious takeaway from India. As we all know, in the last several years, the big stumbling block has been, and a sore point for Washington has been, that while pushing for India's acceptance in various non-proliferation forums, America has not got any advantage out of supporting India's energy waiver, and now, as President Obama has announced, in all the 4 other regimes. Now, both the Congress and the BJP, I assume in this case, have best national interests in mind. But I think the BJP government must be complimented for having pushed this through without breaking our law. However, you have raised a very important point, Arnab, that are the taxpayers or the Indian people finally going to pay for the liability clause which came into being in the shadow of the Bhopal gas tragedy, when the crescendo went up in Parliament and we ended up having a law which was far more heavier for the American private nuclear industry, which in case of Russia and France, the government-supported industry can handle, but the private industry didn't want to venture into it, but America wants a stake of India's energy pie. So clearly, if we are to move forward, and I'm not just talking of nuclear energy here, but there are a lot of other issues that have come out in Mr. Obama and Mr. Modi's meeting and their joint presser. The point at issue is, I think it has to be a question of give and take. We have to move forward. We can't be held hostage to laws that we have created with nothing but these laws are acts of parliament in mind. But I think we need to move forward. So I think the long and short of it is, even both political parties and the other major political parties, I would urge them that what do we get out of a nuclear deal? What do we get out of a nuclear deal? We get in the long run more energy for our cities. We can go into the next phase of energy production where the used uranium from these reactors would allow us to use our huge thorium supplies and make India an exporter of energy to the rest of the world by 2040, 2050. In that timeline, we'll be energy surplus. So let's move forward. Let us address the demands of the Indian people.
Maruf,
and if we have to bypass it one way or the other, it's an investment in India's future.
Maruf,
so I think to that extent,
Maruf, it's not. No, 1 second, Maruf.
I respect
Maruf,
the law.
There are two debates tonight. There are two debates tonight. One debate is the merits of it. One debate, should we have
Can I come
nuclear
in?
power? In which case also there will be a contentious issue because even Americans don't like nuclear power. The Japanese don't like nuclear power. They want to sell in nuclear power to the rest of the world. But that's not the issue. The question is, will there be a political backlash? Will there be questions asked? Will these questions matter? Navika, let's take your perspective, please. And by the way, to all the others, I'm not going one by one. It's an open debate. Feel free to come in once again. Navika, will there be a political backlash to this?
Arnab, can I come in
One
here?
second. Let Navika come in after that.
There's going to be a political backlash,
I'd like to come in because I can't see anyone.
Arnab, there's going to be a political backlash because whether you like it or not, this has been a season of posturing. Whether it was the BJP government in the UPA 2 regime when it was opposing the liability law and actually was asking for more and more stringent clauses to come up so that the liability really was at the doorstep of the suppliers rather than the operators here in India. Today, that shoe, when they wear it themselves, is pinching them because when they get into this dialogue, no business is coming in, no commercial deals are being signed, and that's the problem of the operationalization of the nuclear deal. And already we are seeing the left parties coming out and objecting to this entire issue. Now look at a situation. This is not just about the nuclear deal. This is about the existing situation in Parliament. There is a crisis of sorts in Rajya Sabha. The government does not seem to have the numbers. That's why it had to resort to ordinances. Now, are we going to see, fresh upping of the ante by political parties, including the Congress party, which is the author of the nuclear deal, on the fact that there has now been some amount of dilution as far as the liability clause goes? Because the fact that an insurance pool has been set up, 750 crore will be given in by India.
Navika?
The fact is that
Navika,
750 crore comes
Navika.
in from
I
the
think,
Indian
Navika,
taxpayers'
where is the
money.
dilution? Where is the dilution of the liability clause? I don't think, Navika.
That's the way political
Navika, you got
parties
it
are going to
absolutely wrong.
say
There's no dilution of
You
the
are taking 50%
no,
of
it
the
is not.
burden.
Forget about the
Nobody
political
is
party.
saying that
Let's
the
come to the
nuclear
reality.
deal is not
Let's come to
something
the
that is in
reality,
the interest
Navika.
of the country.
There is no dilution.
Everybody
And let me tell
wants
you,
the nuclear deal to go through because it has an energy perspective that this country requires. Oil
I'm
prices
sorry,
are falling
it
today.
doesn't
They
go
may
back
not
to the
fall 5
parliament.
years
Get your
from
facts
now.
right. I think you have got your facts wrong.
No, which facts are wrong, please?
Navika,
One
you
second,
got
no, 1
your
minute,
facts
1 minute.
wrong.
No, one.
It
So
doesn't
since
go
you are,
back to the
since
parliament.
you are, no, let me
It
ask you.
doesn't go back to
Let
the
me
parliament.
ask you. Let me ask you.
I haven't said that the nuclear deal is going back to the parliament.
There is a
Siddharth,
sovereignty has been held by operationalizing administrative arrangement where it was an intrusive clause. We have achieved the Americans to accept that there will be a multilateral which is as per the IAEA.
Siddharth, don't be so sure
where
of
we
what
have
you're
the
saying.
commitment. We will not give
Siddharth,
a
don't be so
bilateral
sure of what
commitment.
you're saying. I'm
It
going to
is
get
a
other
huge
voices in.
achievement.
No,
I
no,
don't know. I'm sorry. I'm
Siddharth,
sorry. You're running it down.
Don't be sorry. Just
You're
be open.
running it down.
Don't be
I can't
sorry.
understand that.
Don't be sorry. Just
I'm
be
being
open
open.
to
I
another
don't know why you're
perspective.
running it down.
Nobody's running it down. Nobody's
No,
running
I
it
am
down.
not. It doesn't go back to
okay,
the
so
parliament.
nobody's
How
running
can you
it.
say
First of all, I request you,
How does
Siddharth,
it
not
go
to
to
be
the
so
parliament?
touchy
You're
about
saying
it.
the atmospherics
It
in the
doesn't go to the
parliament.
parliament.
will be
First
clear
of all,
against
Siddharth,
Siddharth not saying the
Siddharth,
point that we are making is political
one minute. May I with some a little bit of detachment from this issue. When you so easily say that Navika is wrong, you presume that Navika doesn't know what she's talking about. You're completely wrong there. She does know what she's talking about. I'm telling you she's right.
You think that I don't know?
She's asking relevant questions.
Are you trying to tell me that?
I am trying to simply tell you that our political
I'm
editor of
saying
Times
it
Now
doesn't go to the
understands the
parliament.
issue quite well. That's all. So I'm telling you why, because as you will be well aware, as you will be well aware, Siddharth, listen,
neither I'm challenging.
Siddharth,
All I'm saying
Siddharth,
is,
are you open to listening?
I'm saying it doesn't go to the parliament, so there's no dilution. I'm sticking to the word which Navika used.
Navika one.
Liability law is going to the parliament. Siddharth not saying it's you who have to go back to parliament, and it is the Congress and the left parties who are going to raise the questions. You have to go back to parliament.
I'm just asking
Okay, 1 minute. Gentlemen, I'd like to get Satynath in. Mr. Kesavan, please. I want to get Satynath into the debate, please. May I get, there are 4 members of the debate, 4 panelists who have not spoken. It's 26 minutes past 8. It's 26 minutes
I'm
past
talking,
8.
it doesn't, the bill doesn't go
It's
for a debate.
It's 27 minutes past
How
8,
can
and I'm
bill
making
not
a
go for a
brief
debate?
submission
How
that
can
please
a
understand,
bill on
ladies and
nuclear
gentlemen.
energy,
Just understand
which is
for a while.
potentially
Navika, just a
dangerous,
minute. Let's
not
focus.
go for a debate to Parliament.
Kamal Mitra Chinoy, I'm coming to you. You see, the critical issue is this. I'll take 30 seconds. The UPA government had to win a trust vote over the nuclear deal. Today, it is Modi who is taking it forward. Fantastic. Now, the question is, did you oppose the 123 agreement? Doesn't the same 123 agreement, which on 29th November 2007, Lal Krishna Advani said is unacceptable to the nation because it is deeply detrimental to India's vital and long-term interests, that same 123 agreement is the basis for the implementation of this deal? Should we forget what you said earlier?
Is that?
Satyanath Sarangi coming to the debate, please. Satyanath
what is
Sarangi
that?
and the activist versus
What
the
is that?
scientist, Mr.
That
Balachandran and Satyanath Sarangi on the screen.
Please
Satyanath.
explain what is 1, 2, 3.
As we all
Please explain what is 1, 2, 3.
1 minute, Satyanath. Satyanath, please.
Yeah.
Satyanath.
As we all know, Bhopal is the site of the world's worst corporate massacre. What is happening here by both the parties is a license for even worse corporate massacres. Here the corporations will be General Electric and Westinghouse. Because we know that at the core of Bhopal disaster was the design of the plant. Here again, in nuclear industry, again, it's the design that is being supplied by Westinghouse and General Electric. And Modi is indemnifying General Electric and Westinghouse and saying that it is the Indian public, the Indian taxpayer who are going to pay for the crimes, for the design defects, for the disasters.
No, you are
that will
also
be
making
10,
assumptions that there are
100
crimes, there are
times worse
design
than Bhopal.
defects, etc. You are not an expert to say that. I pit you against the scientist who's holding his hand. Mr. Balachandran, why holding your hand in that exasperated manner? 1 second. Mr. Balachandran, respond please to Satyanath Sarangi, who says basically the government is indemnifying
Now,
all American
Arnav.
nuclear companies. Yes, sir.
Arnav,
Yes, sir.
Arnav,
I hear you, sir.
give me 5 seconds.
Give me
I
more.
was not holding my hand. I was putting my head over my saying, nobody seems to talk. Everybody seems to interrupt. I said, what was the point of this debate at all? Now, let me answer you 1 or 2, 3 questions. First of all, India signed CSC. If somebody says they should go back and look at the IAEA. 2, India has not ratified CSC. 3, India's ratification of CSC will not in any manner be against either the Indian Act or the Indian Act against the CSC.
Yeah.
4,
Mr. Kesavan.
the reason why Indian insurers are being used is normally the Indian insurance company reinsure with foreign reinsurers. That's what we did for our space program. However, a foreign insurer will not insurance a product unless he is able to examine the safety and security of that item. India would not like foreign insurers to inspect Indian programs. Therefore, we have said it should be done only by Indian insurers.
Mr. Sarangi's question.
Now, that's the question. Now, wait, let me say. 2,
clean.
What is Mr. Sarangi questioning?
I'll tell you. Mr. Sarangi, what's your question to Mr. Balachandran, please?
What I'm saying is to say we are making Indian taxpayers pay for the insurance because we are committed to not having foreign insurers is plain duplicity. That's what I'm saying. Because in everything else, you were saying FDI is FDI is priority number 1. That's all I'm saying.
Why would foreign insurers not insure the liability of nuclear supplies? I just don't understand.
Okay.
They want to insure everything in India. They want to get into health, personal insurance, retail insurance, everything. Why not nuclear?
Arnav, shall I talk or not?
Now, please talk, not just talk, respond to Mr.
Arnav, shall I
Sarangi.
say something or not? If
Please
somebody
do,
else
please
want
do.
I'm not ready. You won't let me respond. Go ahead, Arnav. I mean, I don't like these people stopping while I'm explaining.
No, they're not.
First of all,
No, I said
the
please do.
reason we do not want foreign persons inspecting Indian nuclear reactors is this. The reactor material, we use it both for the spent fuel for reprocessing for various other areas of our national security. We do not want anybody to have any accounting or any inspection of our nuclear reactors for the simple reason we don't want them to see what we are doing. Now, Mr. Sarangi or whatever his name is, saying this duplicity as if he knows everything, then if he knows everything, why am I debating? Whatever his name is, I don't care. Now, second point is this. Let me say something. So, if that is the case, but there's nothing wrong with that. Two, an Indian insurance pool is needed because the Indian manufacturers of nuclear power plants who supply to NPCL have also said
Talk about Westinghouse
that they will not
and General
supply
Electric.
anything to NPCL from. I said something, why do we need an insurance pool? Indian nuclear mine, L&T, Godrej, Walchan, they all said they will not supply anything to NPCL from now on unless there is an insurance pool and a guarantee. Okay? Now, thirdly, whether you can have an insurance pool,
tell me,
which will be only applicable to Indian manufacturers.
I have one question. Can I ask?
Go ahead, Sati.
Ask the question.
Why would John Kerry be worried that Indian suppliers need an insurance pool? Didn't John Kerry just a few days ago say that we are worried that suppliers are being made liable? So why would John Kerry be worried about Indian suppliers? I don't understand, because what you are doing, you are keeping the main actors, Westinghouse and General Electric, out of the picture. Bring them in and explain to me, please, Mr. Balachandra, or whatever your name is.
I don't want to explain anything to you, because nothing can be explained to you, because you got a one-track mind, Westinghouse. I don't want to talk to you at all. I talk to L&T.
Talk to
either you say people. India doesn't need nuclear power.
I'm saying India doesn't need to give a license to kill, license to create more Bhopals. That's what I'm saying. And if you think it's a breakthrough, then you would think that 1757 Clive getting into India was a breakthrough.
Okay. I think Mr. Balachandran, I don't understand body language, but I don't understand body language. You're exasperated or whatever. One second. Mr. Balachandran, certainly, Mr. Balachandran.
You see,
it's okay.
There's no point in. Wait, shall I say something?
Yes, sir, there's a legitimate point of view. Why do you say there's no point? The point is very simple. Why do only Indian insurance companies have to do the insurance pooling?
He's not letting me explain.
No, I'll come. Now, Mr. Balachandran, two people haven't spoken yet. The otherwise very voluble GD Bakshi hasn't spoken.
Look, will you give me 2 minutes, Arnab?
Kamal Mitra Chenoy, one second. Kamal Mitra Chenoy and GD Bakshi. My question to both of you.
Insurance pool.
GD Bakshi, please. GD Bakshi is coming in first on his own. GD Bakshi.
Can I explain on the insurance pool?
I'll come to you, Siddharth, after GD Bakshi.
Arnab, I would like to state that we need to simplify the gut issues. Number one, do you need nuclear energy? Yes, you do. You are importing 70% of your fossil fuels. It will go up to 90%. Bulk of it is coming from that volatile region called the Middle East, where, loonies like the ISI are now rampaging free. You need to delink yourself from fossil fuel as much as possible. Therefore, let me please finish. Therefore, you need a basket of energies. Nuclear is one of them. Now comes the question, does it have to be Westinghouse? I'm afraid there are options. The Russians have given you, despite that legal clause, the Russians have given you nuclear plants. The French are giving you nuclear plants. The Russian Prime Minister came recently and offered you 12 more. So, I'm afraid I do not see the reason to really bend over backwards to accommodate Hitachi or anybody else from
Okay,
the
Kamal
United
Mitra
States.
Chinoy.
I mean, it is a buyer's market.
Kamal Mitra Chinoy, do you
It is
also
a
have
buyer's market.
No,
We
no, no.
will choose what suits us best.
Fine. Kamal Mitra Chinoy, the argument put, and I'm coming back to the political debate in just a minute. In fact, the argument put here is, stop cribbing about what the BJP said. What's the BJP is going to say tomorrow? The BJP will say tomorrow, stop cribbing about the detail of it. Look at the big picture. We closed the deal, you couldn't. The liability remains on the supplier, not on the operator. So if there is a disaster, Kamal Mitra Chinoy, be honest to yourself, it is the American supplier who will bear the cost. Plus, of course,
There are two prior questions. No, Arnab, there are two prior questions. Number one, how was this deal done virtually by stealth? Why was there not more public debate and a debate by specialists on the liability clause, how it was being diluted?
What kind of debate do you want on nuclear
burden
issues?
shifted.
You want
And then the second thing is, Arnab, I'll come to the other points later. The second thing is that what Siddharth has said, that we will not go to Parliament to discuss this, I believe is unconstitutional.
Siddharth?
Why? Because nuclear energy is not nuclear energy, which is very safe always.
I will
General
answer.
Bakshi and Balachandran should remember that from Fukushima all the way back to 3 Mile Island, including Chernobyl, nuclear power has been dangerous. So therefore, the control of nuclear power should vest not only in the companies who are there, but there should be regular checks. And we know that the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board has not been providing those checks. So therefore, the argument...
60% of the
I'm talking nuclear power.
in France is...
I'm talking of nuclear power.
Yes, Siddharth.
Nuclear power, nuclear
Yes, I'm also
power
talking
is
of nuclear power.
not completely, nuclear power is not 100% safe. That is why a number of countries who had nuclear power have given it up. However, let that be as it is, as it may. They must go through a series
countries,
of open,
Chinoy, can I come in?
Kamal Mitra Chinoy,
in Parliament and in the regulatory bodies,
Arnab,
because they are hijacking the company. And
Kamal
this deal.
Bakshi Saab, let me speak now.
Kamal Mitra Chinoy. Kamal Mitra Chinoy, a minute. I want...
So it's not only about nuclear power. These guys are trying to make us follow the Americans, thinking that will make them a superpower eventually.
Can I make two quick points?
I'd let Siddharth respond, please. Yeah. Yes, Siddharth.
Can I make two quick points?
Yes, Siddharth.
Arnav, when I say it doesn't need to go to the Parliament, I don't mean by... what I mean is that there's no going to be, since there's no dilution to the bill which has been passed, so there's no discussion to the bill for any carrying out any amendment. Secondly, let me just give, when you say
But 2008 there was a
making
discussion.
this civil-nuclear life, please, allow, I didn't distract. Allow me, sir. On this